So hello my friends, Devaun Lennox here, PhotographyPX. In today's video, we're going to do an overview of the different surfaces available from Bayphoto.com. All right, so here we are on my table setup here. We have a variety of different surfaces from the metal sample pack. Now, I didn't get every single surface. I did choose and select based on the ones that I thought were most applicable to people that do fashion and portraits and maybe landscapes, things of the nature that we showcase here on Photography PX. But just the ones that I'm seeing from my perspective as a photographer that prints and publicizes, knowing that we're going to be putting these photos and these prints in mostly a home studio type of setting, maybe an office space, not necessarily like a museum. Because the way that you light these surfaces is going to determine whether you're going to have issues when it comes to reflectivity and being able to see the prints. So I chose a variety of different surfaces. I did put kind of annotations with these little sticky notes here, just so we can kind of go through that. But also during this video, I want to talk about the different mounting options between the surfaces and maybe some of the benefits as well. We may do another video kind of explaining how to maybe actually install these, some best practices on that as well if you guys would want to see that. But very easy to install these, super easy. But let's kind of start going through that right now. So like I said, I got a 5 metal samples print selection sample pack from Bayphoto.com. So the first one we have is going to be glossy. So these are going to range from basically glossy to a matte finish. They're not organized in that fashion. Maybe I should have organized them that in fashion, but essentially I'm going to show you guys these from the most glossy prints that you can get, and then move over to more of the most matte. I do want to say it's kind of a preference, just so you guys know kind of my preference on this. Based on what I've seen so far, looking at these and analyzing and doing the open boxing, looking at these from a variety of different angles with a direct light source hitting these, I will definitely say, I definitely encourage you guys to get Satin. I think Satin is the best of, it gives you kind of a sheer and a matte kind of a diffusion of the light, but it also has a pop that the glossy kind of has as well. But I'm going to show you guys that. That's just my preference. May be different for your work. When we do giveaways, maybe, let me know which one that you prefer after you see these ones. But first things first is going to be the glossy. Now glossy, same thing with the sheer glossy as well. They're going to be the most reflective options. Now this is not the high gloss. This is kind of like the lower down version of that. Actually, no, hold on. This may be the high gloss. This is actually the high gloss. So this is going to be the glossiest one that Bayphoto carries in the metal print. And then they have the sheer gloss, and they have like more of a matte, and then it goes from there. So this is going to be the high gloss. Now you're going to see my lighting setup here. You're going to see Victor behind the scenes here as well. You're going to see all of that stuff in this as I kind of hold this. I'm going to just kind of move it in a variety of different angles so you can see how it reflects light as well. That is important so you can see the viewing angle. So imagine if this is mounted on a wall and you're looking at it from the camera's perspective right now. This is kind of what you can expect from a reflectivity standpoint. Now, assuming this is the light is coming at a 45-degree angle down from whatever the angle that you're looking at it, this is kind of what you would expect. But since this is going to be mounted on your wall in your home or your studio or your office space, wherever it may be, your kid's room or whatever, you want to make sure that it looks realistic to the lighting that you can expect. If there's a window there, or there's a fluorescent light, or there's a lamp, any of those kind of things, these will reflect. I think this is absolutely gorgeous. I love the rendition of the colors and the saturation, and it kind of has a pop that some of the matte ones, they don't really have. But at the same time, I think the gloss is a little bit too strong, depending if you have artificial light hitting your room. If you don't have a lot of artificial light and your light has a lot more diffused light, say you have like a lot of like shades and things of that nature, and it's not really direct hitting the metal print, then glossy may be good option for your work. Ultimately, order a sample pack, and after you kind of go through the video, order a sample pack, and then you can kind of make a more critical decision by getting a smaller print. You don't have to get I think these are 8x10s, so you don't have to get 8x10s. The next one is going to be, actually, hold on. Let's go to a mid gloss. Let's go to the mid gloss, which is going to be the next one down. So this is going to be a mid gloss, a little bit less glossy, still has a lot of gloss to it, pops too. Doesn't pop as much as the high gloss, but it does pop as well. But it's going to have a little bit more reduction in terms of glare. As I position it up towards the light here, and I do that, you will notice that it has a lot less glare. You will definitely be able to see some more glare, especially over here, as you see some of the background lights for our setup. You'll definitely still see some glare, but it's much more controlled. So if you're in a situation where you have maybe not quite as much diffusion as the glossy, this could be a good option. So you still get the pop of the high gloss kind of look, but with the reduction of glare, so it's not as overly overbearing and you're getting all the reflections. Next thing in the selection is going to be the sheer. Let's do the sheer glossy. So the sheer glossy is actually kind of a different setup here, where the sheer glossy actually, you see a little bit more of the metal that this is actually printed on as well. So that's going to be kind of a different look. This is the first time I'm seeing the sheer glossy here in person as well. So it's very, very glossy. It's as glossy as the high glossy. From what I'm seeing, it is very glossy, but it gives you a different kind of look because you can see more of the metal. That one, you can't see the metal at all. So this is just a very different look. If you want to see more of the exposed metal and you think that's it's a good style and a good look, then maybe consider that one as well. But it's going to follow the same kind of principles as far as glossiness as the high gloss. If you don't want as much gloss and you want a little bit more diffusion, then the mid gloss would be the next step down from these two right here. The next thing is going to be kind of the mid-tone between these that I've seen. Yeah, there's kind of the sheer matte and the satin they're kind of different in terms of pops, but they're both kind of more of their matte selections as far as how they diffuse light. They're both very, very similar in the diffusion of light. The difference is going to be kind of the exposure and how much you're going to see of the metal beneath it. This is like almost like you're printing on like a piece of just regular, I guess like kind of just poster paper or something like that. It's very natural. It's very muted. This is like you're printing on metal. It's almost like the same with the glossy, but it pops even more. So we're going to do the next one, which is going to be the sheer matte. So you'll notice the difference between here and the high glossies, the glossier ones, is that these are not going to diffuse, or they're going to be a lot more diffused. They're going to still be reflective. It's not going to be as like matte as the satin is in some of the lower end ones on the reflectivity, but it's much more controlled. And we're going to do some different angles here, and you'll see that. And if I rotate it this way, can you see the light as it's diffusing on the top here? It's much less diffused than this. Like you can literally see the edges of the light. You guys, I don't know if you can see this from this angle as I'm filming this, but hopefully you can see the difference in diffusion. It is much more diffused, but it offers a different kind of pop to the actual print. You can still see a little bit more of that metal underlying, the underlying metal that this is printed on. And you may or may not like that, I don't know. But I think that one is great personally. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I think satin is just the best one. It gives you like the aesthetic of metal, but it's not too strong like the sheer matte is. The sheer matte is very strong. It's almost like the equivalent of the sheer glossy here, but the only difference is that it's just reducing the amount of glare. For me personally, I just think the satin is kind of the best of both worlds, where you get the metal print aspect, but it's not overbearing, if you know what I'm saying. But you still get the aesthetic, and you then also get the reduction of glare. So this right here is the satin. This would be my #1 choice, absolutely. I would be getting all of my metal prints in satin for sure. Now when we do the giveaway, I will purchase whatever prints that you guys prefer. If you don't like the satin, by all means, I won't purchase that one for you guys. But ultimately, I think the satin just kind of gives you the best of all the worlds. So let me kind of move it around as well. And now if I'm doing this angle, if you see the light and as it diffuses, this is from my perspective, but you can see that it's just very diffused. You're not even seeing the edges of the light. Now, obviously, if I put it down here, you'll still see the reflections of the other prints. So if it's something like that, you're not gonna be able to do much about it. But ultimately, these are supposed to diffuse window light into fluorescent light. So it works very well, in my opinion, for that purpose. But that's just kind of a comparison of the different surfaces. Now, I didn't get all of the surfaces. Again, I chose the ones that I thought were more applicable to doing fashion and beauty and portraits. These will also be great for landscapes as well, as long as you're putting these in more of a home studio, a home setting, or an office type setting, rather than more of a gallery in a museum. That at that point, maybe the glossier would be a better, the super high glossy and lighting it properly and stuff like that would maybe be a better option. There's a lot of advanced lighting that you could do if you have a gallery setup, which we don't have right now. So I hope this has been insightful as far as explaining the different surfaces and showing you guys the differences between them, so you can see side by side on a real image what that kind of looks like and how that translates. Again, I'm going to just put, just for comparison's sakes, just so you guys have a little bit extra, I'm going to put some of these right next to each other and just have you compare, for example, the satin versus the high gloss. And then I'll do the satin versus the mid gloss, for example. So hopefully I can hold these in the right orientation so that it's nice and fair and even. I'll put them as close to each other as possible, and I will, let me see if I can orient them and kind of move them around so you can see the different, as they kind of reflect light in different ways. You can kind of get an idea the difference between a high gloss and a satin. Satin is the middle of the road, but it still gives you that pop, like I was saying, kind of the best of both worlds. So I'll do that as a comparison between that and some of the other ones. And then let's do a satin versus a, this is going to be the mid glossy. So it's going to be kind of like the high gloss, but it's going to have a little bit more reduction in terms of glare. And I will try my best to do that as well. And you guys can, this one's very hard to hold. There's no back on this one, so I apologize. But satin versus the mid gloss. And then let me do, I'll do comparisons of all of them. So we're gonna do satin versus the sheer glossy. I'm gonna get fingerprints all over these, it's brutal. Oh my God. And then this is the satin versus the sheer glossy. And then maybe do that and this. Okay, so we'll do that. And then this is gonna be satin versus the sheer matte. And then this will be the last part of the comparison for these. That's then satin versus the sheer matte. And then we'll kind of orient that and then do a downward angle. And that is all of the selections. So I hope that added value to you guys. I hope that helped you make a more educated decision when it comes to picking a surface. This was very long and detailed for that reason, because I want to make sure that you guys are seeing examples of this. I want to make sure that you guys are seeing a comparison of these with a real life example, so that you have a better understanding of what is going to work best for your work. Now, like I said, satin is what I prefer, but let me know in the comments below what of these would you like, so that we can get some information and get that communication started for when we do our giveaway. But I've been Devaun Lennox. I hope this video added value. I want to say thank you for Bayphoto for sending us these samples. Thank you for letting us do this review for you guys. I hope it adds value to not only your team, but also to everyone watching this video as well. Devaun Lennox here, PhotographyPX. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you found the contents of today's video insightful and added value to you. If you're new here, please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Also, leave us a like and a comment in the description down below. Let us know if I overlooked something or I missed something covered in today's video. This is Devaun Lennox. You know where to find us. Photography. .com.